Welcome today to our Roost Boutique Lunch and Learn. We wanted to thank you for coming. Hope you got some food and feel free to get seconds. Today we have Jelisa Dallas. She is a speaker and an author of Go Brave, and she is the owner operator of Go Brave LLC. She's going to talk to us about how we can get out of our own way.
It is still morning, so good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here, and I want to thank Megan, Thrive 1010, Roost Boutique for the opportunity to share this morning. It's a privilege to be here. I've done some volunteer work here, and it's been amazing to meet you all, for those who I have met before, and again, excited to be here for this opportunity. So just a little bit about myself, something new I'm actually exploring because I'm an author, as Megan mentioned, and I have another book forthcoming, and it's about soul work, because personally in life coaching is another realm of expertise that I have, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what I've noticed is that when I interact with people, a lot of the times it's from a mental perspective, emotional perspective, or some shape or form in how they're behaving. So kind of like emotional intelligence. So I'm dealing with the emotional capacity of people. And so I'm filling out this description of myself as a soul work practitioner. Because that's the name of my new book. It's entitled Soul Work: Disrupt Self-Sabotage, Renew Your Mind, and Transform Your Life. So with that being said, I'm sure you're probably wondering, how do I get out of my own way? So I have a few questions that I want to ask you. So one of those questions is, if you could do anything in the world connected to your purpose or your calling, what would it be and why? So think about that. Ponder what it is that you want to do. If nothing else kept you from doing it, what would you do and why would you do it? And then, have you actually gotten started on that? I just wonder, have you gotten started? And if you haven't gotten started, why do you think you haven't gotten started? And what is preventing you from getting started on that thing? So, for example, me, I want to be a New York Times best-selling author. Well, first of all, I have to figure out, how do I get there? Well, believe it or not, it takes a person to actually get 5,000 or more sales in one day in order to get to a New York Times best-selling author. So, what do I have to do? I have to figure out how to promote myself better, because if I don't even have 5,000 people that I know to be connected to, then it's going to be very difficult for me to accomplish that. So getting started is one. I have to be a writer. I have to write something, have something of substantive value to be able to contribute to the world, and also connect with enough people to be able to get that amount of people to purchase. So as Megan has mentioned, I am an author so far of 3 books, like I said, tentatively 4. So I'm getting started on that vision. So the same question goes for you. What is it that you feel that you are called to, that you are purposed to, that you would want to do, and have you start working towards it yet? And the only way I was able to get to this place was because I had to become the person I needed to be in order to do the things that I am currently doing. And so my question to you is, have you become the person to do the thing? Because a lot of people say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to have that going on. But have you become the person that you need to be in order to do that thing? We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to tell ourselves the truth about where we are and where we stand with the big things that we want to accomplish. So Megan mentioned that my business is called Go Brave, and Go Brave is just not by happenstance. So I will tell you that I am a strong believer in Jesus Christ. I love him with all of my heart. But what I'm going to share with you, can be expanded across faith practices or philosophies. But it is at the core of what I believe in and how I go about life. So I was in prayer one morning, and it literally just dropped in what I felt like was my spirit at the time: Go Brave. And of course, I'm like, yay, Go Brave. Okay, what does that mean? I have no idea what that means. But in my mind and what I wanted to create and what I aspired to do was to change the lives of people I had connected with, help them to transform, help them to become better. So in that, I went straight to doing, oh, I can create this program, I could do this thing, I could have this going on, that going on, instead of thinking, which was what I was resisting, well, maybe I should become the person that I need to become to do the thing that I need to do. But of course, my mind wasn't in that state. I was more so thinking about, okay, I need to do the thing. I need to help people, and I need to just go about and doing it. But that was definitely not the case. And in my resistance, I started to self-sabotage. I started the blame game. I started operating in pride, like, oh, I don't need help. I was sarcastic, started, playing on other people's flaws and personalities. Like, that was just where I was at. I was being self-righteous, like, oh, well, I don't need the help. I don't need to do anything because I'm good. I'm okay. But in actuality, I didn't really have a hunger for change. I didn't want it bad enough because it wasn't a thing that I thought I needed to change. Because when you have a hunger for something, like as you all are eating, when your stomach is growling and you get hangry, you go after that thing. You're going to want to eat something. Also, I didn't know how to change because I wasn't really looking to change, nor was I willing to seek the help to change. But again, this stifled me from getting to where I knew God was calling me to be. So it wasn't until later on that I realized that I was the problem. Because I was repeating the same cycles and trying to figure out, like, why does this keep coming up? So if I was to rewind from where I started when God told me to go brave, at 20 years old, I got married. There were a series of unfortunate circumstances and challenges that happened in my life, everything from verbal, mental, to physical abuse, suicidal ideation that I was like, I don't want to be here. And really the only thing that kept me here was thinking of my family and the heartbreak that I would bear on their hearts. And eventually, thankfully, I got out of that situation, but I knew that I was perpetuating or continuing cycles that needed to change. And I was the common denominator because I brought all of those things that I hadn't dealt with in my first marriage into now my new marriage. Because I said 2019, God gave me Go Brave, and I was blessed to be able to, after that first marriage, be remarried. But I was bringing all of that into my new experience, and it was just breaking it down from the foundation. And so, just curious, what cycles that are in your control have gotten old for you? I want you to consider that. What cycles that are actually in your control have gotten old for you? And for me, when I think of control, there are 3 parts of control that you can consider. 1, you can control yourself, your mind, your emotions, how you behave. You actually can control and manage those things, believe it or not. Now, there are things you can influence, or rather people you can influence, which is outside of your control, but you can influence other people's behaviors, how other people approach situations. And then there are just some things that are outside of our control that we have to adapt to. Like yesterday, it was raining cats and dogs, and I'm like, all right, I got to put on some rain boots, I got to put on a raincoat. I have to adapt to the situation. I can't control the weather. So again, the question, what cycles within your control have gotten old for you? And consider and think about that. So I realized that I needed to prepare myself for this change because the cycles were getting old. So I did what I like to call a getaway with God, where I took myself on a mini vacay and I went to go pray and fast and read the Bible because I needed a deeper vision for my life. And in that time, I just received, if you will, a divine download about what it means to be ready. And there are 5 things with that of what it means to be ready. And because I'm a teacher at heart, I broke it down into an acronym that I can remember, which is the word ready. The first thing is to release the old. I had to put away all the pressures, all the control, all the past situations and circumstances I had dealt with due to former things in my past. I had to release the old. Second, I had to embrace the new. But how do I embrace the new? I have to release the old. So I can't move forward if I don't address the things that are backwards. Then I had to affirm truth. For me, affirming truth looked like going to God's word. What does God's word say about my life, say about my circumstance, say about my situation that I'm dealing with? Then, this is a hard one that I'm sure a lot of people find some challenge with, discipline. I had to get disciplined. I had to build a morning routine. I had to set some things in place to figure out how I can steward my time, my money, and my relationships better. I just had to be more disciplined. And then at the end, I set it at God's feet, and I'm like, okay, God, I yielded it to him. I yielded to God and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I've gone through. Help me to get out of my own way. And so that's what prepared me for change. And then I became ready to do, as I mentioned, the soul work, where I was able to disrupt self-sabotage, get my mind renewed, and find a way to transform my life. And because now I had a new hunger and I was able to operate in what I knew how to do because I prepared myself in readiness, I sought help. And that was by way of counseling, life coaching, getting a perspective outside of myself. I needed the help. I needed to be honest with myself. And when you think about help, think about how much help elevates you. Help gets you to a new place in how you think, a new place in how you focus when you get a perspective outside of yourself. Someone who's been there, done that, and has excelled, you want to get some help from someone like that. And keeping in mind that asking for help is actually a sign of strength. So my question to you is, think about where you need help. And be honest with yourself, because the moment that we're honest with ourselves, that's the first stage of healing from whatever shame, whatever past, whatever situation or circumstance that's kept us in our own way. So after my season of help, because I truly believe that help is seasonal, because it's not all the time that you're going to be at somebody's chair and saying, help me, help me, help me, that we're helpless. There's going to be seasons that you might need help in different areas of your life. So after my season of help, I felt lighter. My thoughts were clear. I had like a pep in my step. I was able to feel more joy and more happiness when I sought that help. And so instead of taking on the story of shame, the story of my past experience, the stories of the things that kept me bound, that kept me in my own way, I was able to transform that to a story of victory more so, with a new perspective. It was a story that really helped me to see things in a new way. And so I'm just curious, what do you want your story to be? When you think about your past, when you think about things that you've gone through, are you going to think about, this is what happened to me? This is what people did to me? Or are you going to say, because you were able to come out of that, because you can see it in hindsight, this is what happened for me, and now I can tell people about my story to help them to come out of their situation or out of their circumstances, because now I have a new perspective. And so if you're thinking about, okay, well, how do I get out of my own way? Well, here's 3 things to get out of your own way. First, as I talked about, we have to become the person ready for change. That's going to be the first thing. You have to become the person ready for change. Second, you're going to have to seek help. You're going to have to seek help beyond yourself. Again, it's a way to elevate you. It's a sign of strength when you're seeking help. And then third, you're going to want to reclaim your story. We're no longer going to have the thief of shame taking your experiences. You have to be the one to reclaim your story so that you can live in a transformed perspective and a transformed life. Thank you so much.